Okay, welcome back. So this is meeting number 16, A10, and it's May 8th. So I hope your week went well and your family's doing well during this time. So please stay on top of with your courses. Submit your items, please, so you can continue on with bumping up your grade for supplemental learning. So if you have any questions, just give me a shout. If you want to set up a Zoom meeting and have a discussion, please certainly set up a meeting, and you can certainly send me the link and we can have a conversation there, or you can let me know if you want to have one, and I can set up the link and send it out to those who are interested. So, all right. The previous video, meeting number 15, focused on the recap for chapter 1 and 2. So chapter 1 was third, and chapter 2 is dealt with Peter and how Ender relates to those titles, to those people, how he interacts, how he handles himself, those kind of things, how he grows, how he his setbacks, his development as a young prodigy, which is what Ender is. And again, keep in mind, he's just a young'un, like, compared to his peers, if you want to call them peers. They're about 2-3 years older than him. So a lot of jealousy, a lot of envy, and of course that segregates him from being a part of everybody else. And we're going to find out how much more segregation he's going to experience with the introduction of graph. So let's get into chapter 3. So we have chapter 3, graph. Okay, so we know that Ender's been monitored by the international fleet, and more specifically, we find out it's graph. So the bolded sections of each introduction of the chapters, this is graph speaking. Okay, so we have graph having conversations about Ender, his plans for Ender, that he firmly believes that Ender is the savior of the world. Okay, Ender's going to be the one that's going to prevent any possible invasion of any kind of the buggers for all time. Okay, so he's investing a lot of time and energy into Ender, and he has to manipulate Ender in order to get him to a point where he can be that savior. So Ender's going to have, he wants to have friends, he wants to belong and things like that, but graph is making it so difficult for him, and we'll find out more about that later. But this is where we're introduced to graph for the first time officially. So at the beginning of the chapter, we find out that Valentine could derail the plans for Ender. So they've been monitoring Ender for a long time now. They kept the monitor in for a little bit longer, and then they saw what he did to Stilson. And they know that Ender can hold his own. And so that's the type of fighter they want. That's the type of leader they want. Somebody who can analyze the situation and use strategy and so on and so forth to figure out an end game, and that end game would lead to victory for humanity. They intend on laying it all out for Ender in order to sway him away from home. So they're not hiding the fact that they want Ender. They give it to him, and so they basically play all their cards for the most part. There's still some hidden there, but they don't want to come off alienating Ender, because he's already been alienated up to this point at school by his peers and even his brother, and the fact that he's the third. He's had a couple strikes already against him, so they don't want to alienate him if even further, to the point where they're going to lose the guy. Okay, so this is the reference to just war theory if you go back to your course outline booklet. And so if I mention just war theory later on, instead of writing out in full, I just abbreviated JWT. So Ender explains his logic for beating up Stilson and wants to ensure that all future battles will be won. And that's what the International Fleet wants. They want a leader to win this battle so that there'll be peace for all time. Okay. Now, is that the best way to go about it? That's the big question you need to ask yourself. And do we see that in our world today, where governments use the same tactic, that if we handle it in this fashion, hard and commit ourselves fully to it, that it'll prevent further atrocities and stuff like that? But you have to give up something. You have to give up something so that we can make this happen. Okay. Ender blames the International Fleet for not protecting him after his monitor was removed. And remember that the monitor was protecting Ender. All the kids knew that they were going to be protected because they're being monitored. But once the monitor came out, Ender lost that security. Okay, and so but as far as he knew, he lost that security. He was still being monitored, but not. It was like a security blanket for Ender. And when it was taken out, he was all alone. He didn't know how to handle the new Ender, the free from a monitor Ender. So this caused a lot of anxiety for Ender. Graf invites Ender to battle school because of the reason why he beat up Stilson, not because he beat him up. So the fact that he beat up Stilson, that's not the issue. It's how he did it, though. How he beat Stilson. So his parents are obviously, you're rewarding him for beating up a kid, and no, we're not rewarding him for beating up the kid. And we're rewarding him for how he did it. Now, you have to juggle that one. You have to ask yourself, is there any difference? Okay. So, is there any difference between the fact that he beat up the kid and how he did it? That's the question you need to ask yourself. Ender's parents are not pleased if the International Fleet can dictate terms regarding Ender, but Graf counters and says that Ender belongs to the International already because of the agreement that was signed by the parents when they wanted a third child. They had to apply for that child, and that's called third child consent. And so once they signed that off, yes, Ender Wiggin is part of the Wiggin family, but he is the property of the government. Okay. Graf explains what battle school is for: training starship captains and leaders of the fleet. Okay. So you tell a kid that, and they're going, "Oh, that'd be fun. That'd be awesome. Starships. Oh, I'm all for it." Okay. Ender is a nickname for Andrew. So now we find out that his name is Andrew Ender Wiggin. Okay, but he goes by Ender. Everyone else calls him Ender. He wants to join battle school. Who wouldn't? Who wouldn't want to join it? As it would help keep him away from Peter, because he had that concern. He did not want to become like Peter. As long as he's at home, Valentine is his only protectorate. So when Valentine's not there, Peter is there, and of course that's a threat to Ender. So he'd rather be away from Peter and Valentine completely in order to be free from Peter's wrath. Graf could take Ender if he wanted to, but he prefers to come on his own accord. So this is that freedom over security. So even though the government has taken your freedoms in order to make you secure, he's giving that freedom back for a limited time only, so that Ender can make his decision, or make him think that he's making a decision on his own accord. So it's a game within a game within a game, and so on and so forth. So that's why the book Ender's Game, okay, if you take it literally as just a game, you're missing a lot of points. But if you take the book from everything he does, so everything you do in life is a game, and you play the game to the best of your ability, and in order to achieve certain goals. You win some, you lose some, you tie, those kind of things. So it's this experience of supplemental learning is a game. So it's get back in the game, take back your year, and finish off strong so you can transition into your school year next year with all the skill sets that are necessary for you to succeed in the next grade level. So Ender's a catch-22. Now, this would be a great discussion for if you want to post this in Google Classroom. Ender's life itself is a catch-22. It doesn't matter what he does, Peter will still hate him, okay? Because Peter will never match up to Ender, and his parents resent him as he's a reminder of what they had to give up in order to have him. So we find out that his dad had, they had to give up their religious beliefs and a few other things in order to have his third child. So there's resentment there. And so, again, Ender is by himself either way. The only person that has any real connection to Ender or any support for Ender would be Valentine. Okay, so I've already talked about Ender as a mixture of part Peter, part Valentine in his recipe. Mazer Rackham, we'll learn more about him later. Graf talks about how Mazer Rackham saved the Earth from the previous invasion. If it wasn't for him, there would be no Earth, so to speak. And really pumps it up for Ender, and Ender wants to. I would love to be that hero, be like my hero, Mazer Rackham. So in order to become Mazer Rackham or like him, he has to go to battle school. So the International Fleet needs Ender to help Earth keep the buggers from returning. Well, so it's request. We need you, Ender. We need you. Behind the scenes, or behind the curtain, Graf can certainly just take them. But if you take him, Ender's not going to do what you want. So Ender has to come on his own, or make him believe that he's coming on his own. So he agrees to go to battle school. Okay, so that's where we leave for chapter 3, and I'm going to stop there because of the time restraints for YouTube. And again, you can check out the YouTube channel Heskin ELA. All the videos that you see on Google Classroom are also posted on the YouTube channel in its entirety, so you don't always have to log into Google Classroom. Okay, so I'm going to stop share there, and we'll get into chapter 4. Take care.